everyone, I'm Huseyn Wirawan and welcome to Profesia show, the only show you need to know about international business. We open up chances for our elected viewers to ask questions and get answers from invited panel of experts. This week we'll be providing you insights on what is PICTA and what experts have got to say on the relationship between PICTA and Malaysia. In a glance, PICTA is a trade agreement formed by foreign island countries that are located in Pacific Oceans. This trade agreement governs both movement of goods and services between the participating countries. Since we have gathered a few questions from our viewers through our Twitter page, let's get your notes and pen ready because we're gonna answer that questions. The first question is asked by Mariam0143 about the history and objective on PICTA. My colleague Lyana Mastura will answer this question.
Hello, hi, I'm Lyana Mastura. You have already know about the PICTA, right? So now let's take a look the questions from our viewer, which is one of the questions is, what is the history of PICTA? So let's take a look about it.
Hadi Hamzah 91. The question is, why is PICTA important from international business point of view? And it's gonna be answered by Norshamsenar.
In Island Business News show that Samoa has become first FICs to ratify the Pacific Island Countries Trade Agreement Trade in Services Protocol. Under the PICTA TIS protocol, many FIC have to open their economies to the other FIC operators in specific sectors such as tourism, transport, communication, education, financial and business services. On the ABC News in the business part stated, Thailand seeks raw material from Pacific. It is bring good opportunities to FIC countries to expand to the international market. So the benefit that PICTA gives to FIC is faster economic growth due to improved trade performance through enhanced specialization and greater economic efficiency. An easier, more efficient business environment, then less paperwork obstructing trade-related business transactions, larger regional market attract more foreign investors, more joint action by members on trade and investment facilitation, and then larger domestic market for local producer. Therefore, PICTA viewed by the Forum Island country as a stepping stone towards their more complete integration into the international economy.
The third question is asked by Afiq Afan, and the question was, is PICTA successful and why? And it will be answered by Nisa.
Regional averages are denominated by developments in the region's largest economy, Papua New Guinea (PNG), whose size means that it has a 50.5% weight in determining the regional average. Growth in PNG slowed to 9.2% in 2012, down from 11.1% in 2011, and it is expected to slow even more in 2013 before rebounding to 6% growth in 2014. The good news for PNG is that this slowdown is expected to only be temporary, where the growth will rise. Growth performance in the rest of the Pacific was notably lower but offers some encouraging signs. The economic performance for a few of the tourism-based small island economies in the region improved. Increased numbers of tourists from Australia, New Zealand and East Asia drove GDP higher in Cook Islands and Vanuatu and maintained solid growth in Palau. Higher phosphate revenues pushed up Nauru's growth. Infrastructure spending, higher fishing revenues, and increased lending and investment prompted higher growth in the Fiji, Marshall Islands, and Tuvalu. Growth in other Pacific islands was down in 2012 mainly due to falling public expenditures on infrastructure as projects neared completion. Slower growth in Solomon Islands was due to a drop in logging revenues. Despite a modestly improving global economic outlook in 2013, growth in the Pacific Islands is projected to slow to 5.2% due to the scheduled completion of large infrastructure projects in a number of these economies. Economic fallout from Cyclone Evan is expected to weigh down 2013 growth in Fiji and Samoa. Improved growth in 2014 is underpinned by commencement of public infrastructure projects across the region and continued improvement in the global economy. Now let's have a look at the list of Asian and Pacific countries exports sorted by their nominal GDP. As we can see throughout the years 2010 and 2011, 2012, the total GDP of the world are increasing at a decreasing rate. From the list of Pacific Island countries, PNG has contributed the highest amount of GDP of 15,786,000 USD in 2012, contributing more than 50% of PICTA's GDP. Comparing the year 2010 and 2011, the GDP of PNG has increased by 33%. However, the 2012 GDP has only increased by 22%. The rest of PICTA's countries followed the same growth pattern as PNG except for Vanuatu, whose GDP decreased in the year 2012. Besides then PNG and Fiji, the rest of PICTA's countries are ranked closely between each other. Now this is the list of PICTA members by imports according to their rank.
We have slowed down. Last year we experienced 3.4% decline in the economy. We are forecasting another 3% decline up to the end of June this year.
Been established for 12 years, so we cannot really determine whether the institution is successful or not due to the short period of time. Even though the countries are growing at a decreasing percentage, but still their GDP increased. Even for Malaysia, Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad has unveiled its the Vision 2020 back in 1991. So he expects Malaysia to be a developed country within 29 years.
The fourth question was asked by Siti Hanisah, and the question was how PICTA impacted Malaysia, and it will be answered by Zhafri.
Hi, I'm Zhafri. I'll be going to answer the last question, which is how PICTA impact Malaysia.
Currently, Malaysia cannot be joining PICTA since Malaysia is not an island. Nevertheless, Malaysia and PICTA can make a bilateral trade agreement. Thus, both parties can benefit from each other based on the agreement agreed upon. Currently, Malaysian companies like the Jaya Group and Damansarel Berhad are making some trade with several countries under PICTA, such as Solomon Island, Papua and Fiji. Most of the trading from PICTA countries are involving logging and plantation due to having fertile soil.
Thank you, Zhafri. That's all for today's show. We hope we answer your questions. See you next week. Goodbye.